welcome back to Beyond the Game, where sports meet society, culture, and the bigger picture. I'm your host, Taylor Adams, and today we're diving into a conversation that stretches far beyond the field, in the court, or on the track, which is the freedom of speech in sports. Today I'm here with our wonderful co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves. And for a quick icebreaker, please tell us how long you played sports for and what is your favorite sport to play, or what was your favorite sport to play?
I'm Donnie Weatherspoon, sports guru, and my favorite sport that I played was football, and I've been playing since I was 4, and I stopped at 20, so what's that, 14 years, 13 years?
I think that you said you started at what?
I've been playing since I was 4, and I stopped at 20, so like
16. I was gonna say, that math was not math.
My bad. I'm a journalist.
Ain't no math majors. All right, I'm Jordan Mongo, and I'm just P on the radio. And I played sports when I was 5. I played basketball and a little bit of flag football too. Like, I was busting them boys out there, you know what I'm saying? I was the quarterback. I was too big to play receiver, but
You was a dual threat or you was a pocket passer?
Dual threat.
Okay.
I had speed though, and then once I slimmed up, so I started playing at 5, stopped at 15, so 10 years, and then been doing marching band. I don't know if that counts as a sport.
Marching 100 is definitely a sport.
Okay, so marching bands.
Yes.
Y'all practice more than us.
Hello.
Hey.
They be out there playing longer than y'all be out there. Hello.
Yeah.
I know y'all be hearing them at Towers and Village. Okay. Nayron?
What's up? It's your boy Nayron Jenkins, FAMU linebacker, number 45. And growing up, I played many sports: basketball, football, baseball. But obviously, football is my favorite sport. I've been playing since I was 5 years old. So yeah, basketball really my favorite sport, but I stopped growing. So football is my next favorite.
Twin, that's so real. I stopped growing since 8. Okay, let's not. I have a condition. We're not gonna talk about that. But that's why I stopped growing. Fuck it. But yes, so I'm Taylor. I don't have a nickname. Like, I'm with the cool cats over
T-Money.
here.
T-Money.
T-Money?
T-Money.
Yeah, I'm over here with the real ball knowers over here. I'm just FAMU Athletics Media, you know? But I've been playing sports since about 8 years old. Same as Nayron. I played multiple sports growing up: volleyball, soccer, flag football, track. Basketball is the worst time of my life. But my favorite sport to play was flag football. And I still play a little bit now. So, yeah. But to start off with our conversation of freedom of speech in sports, guys, I just want y'all to tell me and our audience, like, what does that mean to you?
I think freedom of speech in sports means you're allowed to voice your opinions on certain things, and you're allowed to use your platform to, even influence others' opinions about certain things. And in that case, meaning if you agree with something, say that you agree with it. If you disagree with something, you also disagree with it. And I think, back in the day, it was more of a, tell the media type of thing. But now we have social media, you have mobile platforms that you can do that to even reach more people.
For sure, absolutely. Jordan or Donnie, do y'all want to touch on it?
Basically, he summed it all up. It's just basically your beliefs, your values, without fear of being silenced. That's my point of it. Point of view of it.
That's really good. So to a very big monumental moment that started off, the controversy of freedom of speech in sports was with Colin Kaepernick and how he took a knee during the national anthem in 2016, which sparked a big movement. What started off as a personal protest against police brutality and systematic racism, it became a national debate about patriotism, protest, and the power of the athlete's voice. He became a symbol of resilience, but had lasting consequences on his career. I have a quick question for you guys. Do athletes have a responsibility to speak out on social or political issues, or should they stick to sports?
Absolutely. Like 100%. I think, as an athlete and as a student athlete, we see the effect that we have on people. And we see, the followers, the people that come up trying to get pictures, different things like that follow you on Instagram. They want to see what you do. They want to see your opinion. They want to see how you voice it. And even, us at a smaller, university, But then you look at on a larger scale, LeBron James, who he speak on political, issues and things like that, and it's like, wow, it has a real effect. And so, with that being said, you have that responsibility, I feel like, because you want to be able to make a change. And I think that with the platform that those larger scale athletes are given, it definitely allows us to be able to grow and be able to kind of make that difference.
Absolutely.
I definitely think that as just a human being, and you should be able to speak out. You should be able to speak on what you believe is right, because everybody has an opinion. We're not, the sports people, like people that are athletes and stuff like that, they're not robots. Same thing with celebrities. They're not, AI or anything. These are actual humans that grew up the same way we did, just in a different route, a different path or whatnot. So, just because they're entertaining us, because really when it comes to athletics and stuff, all of the stuff is entertaining, like watching football Sunday night or watching football on college football on Saturday, or even just basketball throughout the week is entertaining. So they're essentially pleasing the viewers, the audience and stuff like that. They didn't sign up just to play sports. No, they signed up to play sports, get their name out there, speak on what they believe is to be right and everything. So I think
public figure.
Yes, absolutely. Donnie had something to touch on, or they pretty much...
They summed it all up. I mean...
Yeah. Now, I know we're talking about how... Well, the question I just asked about, like, should public figures be able to say their political points of views and stuff like that. So I also want to ask, how important is visual expression? Like when it came to the NFL, NBA, and FIFA, they were wearing T-shirts saying, like, end racism, or they're having helmets, warm-up jackets, or even just gestures, as they did it as a form of protest in sports. How important is that for everybody to see?
I feel like it's very important, but I feel like it could be more.
Okay.
I feel like they kind of, let's not be, too judgmental, but I feel like certain sports kind of do this after something tragic happens. Mm-hmm. So when something tragic happens, now they're like, oh, now we can voice our opinion. Now we can say this. Now we can put words on there to make them feel like we care. But it's like, do you really care? If you really care, where are the foundations? Where's the money being put into these things? Like, where's it going? So it's like, it's only so much to say words, but once you start showing action towards these things, then it'll show how much care you have to these certain situations.
So now I have a follow-up question for you. Do you feel like those big leagues are protecting free speech or limiting it?
Limiting. I feel like players don't feel like that they have, even when it comes to the entertainment industry, whoever you work for, they're over you. They're over what you say. You have a PR team. Yeah. So you don't really get to say what you want and when you want to say it. It's almost like hey, you need to say this, you need to put it in this certain thing. So it's like they're being treated as puppets when they're not really puppets, they're actual human beings. So it's like you can't look at somebody like a puppet because they have a name or face or they have their name, image, or likeness. Mm-hmm. You have to treat them as a person because they bleed just like we do.
Right.
Like say you had a play, right, and you didn't like the way the referee called that. Mm-hmm. And you, in the post-game interview, and you speak on the ref, and you a rookie, right? And you get fined all that money, and that money hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all you really essentially living off of. And you get fined for saying something about the ref that you didn't like. But I feel like you should be able to speak on that, because even then, the referees may not be publicly as big as the athletes, but they still have their conversations and stuff as people, because they're humans as well. So.
They limit it for sure. Like, yeah. You can't say certain things or do certain things in certain moments. We mentioned Colin Kaepernick, who I had the pleasure of meeting, last week. And he was basically kind of talking to me about, the infrastructure mm-hmm. of the NFL. They put it out there, like you said, Donnie, when something go wrong, it's all, like when George Floyd died in 2020, everybody had on these BLM shirts warming up. with a BLM shirt right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you ain't seen none of them shirts. You know,
Right.
then as soon as somebody big get killed or something, it's gun violence.
Yeah.
You know, or they wait until the awareness month.
Yeah.
You know, breast cancer awareness. You know, things like that.
Why can't
But-
that be an everyday thing?
Exactly. And so I think that that's the big thing that the leagues do is they cater to the audiences when they need them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then when you go to kneeling for the national anthem, you making too many rednecks upset.
Right.
So then, hey, chill out. Like, nah, you tripping. Like, you taking away from my money that way. But then they go to saying too much on that side. It's like, hey, leave politics. There's no room for politics in sports.
Right.
And so I think that's, you know, even with the LeBron situation, when he was speaking, and that lady was like, shut up and dribble. You know, certain people, they don't want to hear from athletes because they think in their mind, oh, we just another number on the court, another number on the field that's going out there hitting for an hour in the sun, you know, going out there dunking the ball, you know. But I think that is way more than that. And then, like I said, go back to we have an obligation to be able to use our platform.
If y'all don't remember, literally like before the election,
Talking about
you know,
presidential
it was,
election?
Yeah, it was very controversial. They were silencing us about what we were saying for Kamala Harris, right? But Nick Bosa said everything he wanted to
He
say,
did.
wearing MAGA hats, all that,
Yeah.
and he got fined nothing. You know, they said nothing to him at all. But it just shows you.
I love
what-
that you brought that up.
What colors are able to do stuff and who aren't able to do things. And I feel like they try to silence us as black people more than they try to silence anybody else.
And I love that you brought that up because you remember going back to 2016, Colin Kaepernick's career was over. All his deals were dropped. No team wanted to pick him up because of what was following him because he knelt down. So the fact that Kaepernick's whole career life felt like it was ending at that time, but Nick Bosa
Prime
did
in his
it,
career.
and it was just, oh, you just got to pay some money and everything's cool. Good luck in the championships. So it just shows the double standard that we have, especially when it comes to freedom of speech. And I love, Nayron, that you touched on how important it is about athletes talking about freedom of speech in sports. And, you know, as former athletes and a current athlete right now, how was it being an athlete back in 2016 and like Colin Kaepernick kneeling? Did that make you feel like impactful to make you want to start having some activism at your school and just seeing like a different world, a different eye?
For sure, for me, you know, I had a actually similar interaction, you know, with the kneeling of the national anthem. It was a coin toss. They forgot to play the national anthem. We were out there, and so then they started playing the national anthem, and I knelt down. And you know, the story go on where they tried to get me suspended, all this kind of stuff, you know, but wasn't really disrespectful. I just sat there, I knelt, and let the song play. Like, you know, I feel like in those situations that song doesn't represent me. You know, and so I think that
That's
if
powerful.
that's something those stripes and the white, you know, the stars and all that kind of stuff that's in that, you know, that don't represent me. You know, I don't feel like it represents me, and so until I feel like it represents me, I won't stand for that. And so I think that, you know, seeing him do that, you know, we were younger, like middle school,
Yeah.
so we might not have understood, you know, the magnitude of it. But now that we're older, we definitely understand it now, and everybody like, all right. Like, yeah, like I agree with him. Like, you know, the more you sit and read, you know, the more you sit and learn about, you like, dang, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that's why. Like, if we don't stand for nothing, you fall for anything.
Right.
And so I think that's the most important thing for us.
What advice
like,
would you give to one young athletes or people who wants to use their voice but is afraid of backlash?
Me personally, I would say just be brave. You know what I'm saying? Understand who you are. Once you know who you are, and you don't be cocky, be confident. You know, once you know who you are, live in that, grow in that, and you don't ever stop growing. Truthfully, that's one thing I tell people. Like, as you could be 8 years old and be on the same intellect level as a 18-year-old, but is you're gonna keep growing, keep continuing to matriculate into a great person, you don't never stop. You don't just never stay stagnant. If you feel like you like have arrived, then you haven't arrived. Like it's really no stopping point. Like you always people at 50 years old still learning stuff or still figuring out things. Like me as a young man, a young black man, I'm still figuring out things as I go continuously. I don't feel like I have even came into who I am for real, because I feel like I'm still growing. Like you don't really ever stop. So telling a young child or a young athlete, like, boy, man, girl, boy, woman, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I said that backwards, but
it's okay. You're good.
Yeah.
We got you.
You know what I'm saying? Just be brave, you know what I'm saying? Go out there, stand for what you think is right and not for what. Don't try to fit in with what's popping or what you think is right or with society, you know what I'm saying? If you genuinely think the sky is green, then the sky green to you. Like, but
I don't know. That might be a little.
That might be a stretch. I don't know.
I think they might be colorblind.
I just say, be bold. Your whole life now, being a student athlete, will be based off your name, image, and likeness. So if somebody doesn't like your name, image, and likeness, so what? You know, a wise quote that I used to like. You know, y'all ever watched House Party? Bernie Mac. If people don't like you, F them. You know, real life. You know, so you know, go with what you believe in. Don't let people silence you. Don't let people change your perspectives on stuff. If you want to be open-minded on something, look into it. But don't just change your perspectives because somebody is telling you that, because they might not even be factual themselves.
For every five people that like you, it's always somebody that don't like you.
Hello.
So,
and I think the most important thing is truly just staying true to yourself and knowing your why and your platform. And I think that's what truly pushed these athletes to have their voice, because you never know who's watching you. My mom tells me that all the time. You never know who's watching you. Somebody's always watching. So it's like, for them to be brave enough, just like you said, for them to have resilience, for them to keep faith, for them to know who they are. I feel like that's the most important thing that others look up to be like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it as well. Especially if it's the right thing to do. And I think that's something that we truly need to teach our young generation. Like, if you feel so strong about something that you know is right, stick up for them. Stick up for yourself.
Eyes are always on you.
Hello.
And so therefore, you don't understand how much of an influence you have on these kids by just one or two conversations or one or two posts on Instagram.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I think that's just definitely important to remember that, hey, they don't just watch the good things you do, but they watch the dirt you do too.
Hello.
You know? And so I think that's important for that too.
And what you post on social media doesn't go anywhere. Even if you think you deleted it, it
is there forever. That was Mama's favorite thing to say when we was children.
Mine too.
Hello. Well, thank you for tuning in with us today. That is our conversation of Beyond the Game, freedom of speech in sports. Make sure to tune in next week where we talk about, just everything we talk. I don't know.
Yeah.
What we talking about next week, y'all?
Playoffs.
NBA
yeah. Playoffs.
The NBA playoffs coming up next.
Man, come chill with the guys. and our lovely lady,
yes,
Taylor.
the NFL draft,
Thank you, Taylor, for hosting us. Did a wonderful job.